Well, one big question from DCU fans is, what is James Gunn going to do with Batman? And now we have a new report that seems to give us an indication the headcount is definitely going to be reduced. Let's take a couple minutes to break down the Batman news. Well, earlier this year, we got our first film featuring Robert Pattinson in the role of the Dark Knight. The Batman was a hit in theaters and was pretty darn well received by fans. Many people have been asking questions about the other Batman of the DCU and what's going on. As many of you know, next year's Flash movie is going to feature two versions of the character, featuring both Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton, which generated a lot of rumors and buzz with fans about the future of, at that time, the DC Extended Universe. Now, Keaton was supposed to be a huge part of Batgirl, and of course that film got scrapped. Additionally, the Keaton scenes in Aquaman got swapped out for Ben Affleck, so there seems to be a ton of confusion about the future of Batman and who the Batman at the center of these stories is going to be. Some of us have speculated there could just be two ongoing versions of the character, but we have a little bit of an update from the DCU and David Zaslav. In this statement, he made it pretty clear about Batman and what's going on headed down the road, and based on this quote, I think some of our questions will be answered very soon. This is what he had to say. I think over the next few years, you're going to see a lot of growth and opportunity around DC. There's not going to be 4 Batmans. Now, Zaslav went on to say that he was pretty excited, and he thinks we will be very excited to see what James Gunn and Peter Safran are going to bring us. But the fact that he specifically mentioned there's not going to be 4 Batmans is pretty interesting to me. It's pretty clear the DCU will not have multiple versions of Batman based on this quote, so the question then becomes which iteration of the character. And that's where I think the current James Gunn plan comes into play. We don't know right now if this will be Pattinson, Affleck, Keaton, or even somebody else, but the fact that we're going into a Flashpoint event might help them set up whatever future they have for the Caped Crusader. Now, considering how successful the first Batman film was this year, if I'm making a bet between these three, I would have to say Robert Pattinson might be the safest bet, but quite honestly, the contractual obligations around an actor to play Batman, not just in Batman movies, but in an expanded DC universe, is really steep, and I do see some challenges getting him signed up for that role. You also have to consider what Matt Reeves has already started building in his version of Gotham City. And honestly, I don't really think Superman just showing up at the end of that movie would have made a lot of sense. There's no indication of superpowers in that world, and sometimes that is what really works best for Batman. Christopher Nolan was able to capitalize this in a great way, and I think that's what Matt Reeves is doing with his version. I'm really unsure how they integrate Pattinson into the overall DCU, but if that's what they decide to do, I'll give it a chance. Quite honestly, between the three, Affleck might be the best choice. There are tons of fans that enjoyed his version of Batman, and he integrates with the current Justice League already. He's already shared time with them, and it's very familiar to audiences. The big question becomes, will Ben Affleck even want the role or take up the role 5 or 6 times over the next 6 or 7 years? That's a steep ask for a lot of actors, and I'm unsure if DC can even lock that down, but the excitement around James Gunn might convince Affleck, and his life has turned for the better in the last couple months, so we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, we cover everything Caped Crusader and Batman on this channel, so if you want to get all of your Gotham City updates, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and ring the bell for all the news. But until we know more, what do you guys think? How do you feel about the DCU trimming down to just one version of Batman? And which version of the character do you want? Sound off in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you hit like, click subscribe, and if you don't ring that bell, you won't get any updates. Peace.